Yo, what's up, my people? I hope all of you guys are doing well. Now, in today's Loom, I will be going over a full guide to personal branding on Instagram. And I do want to give a quick little disclaimer here. There are so many ways to building out a personal brand on Instagram. I don't think there is one right answer to this because, to a degree, every brand is unique and different in its own way. And this is just how I would go about things. So if you're discovering me from the YouTube and you decided to keep up with me on Instagram and you like what you have to see on my Instagram, keep watching this Loom. I'll be sharing with you guys basically how I go about things, kind of the way my mind thinks when it comes to creating content and building out an Instagram account. All right. So the syllabus of today's presentation is we're going to be talking about how Instagram is the new business card. We're going to be talking about the do's and the don'ts, how to take your photos and edit them, at least the way how I would go about it, building an aesthetic and versatile feed, branding, and engagement tips. So these are just some things that I've done myself that have worked in my favor that I believe could be of help to you as well. All right. So first things first, guys, it doesn't matter if you actually operate a business on Instagram or not, even if you're using it for personal use, it is still a business card. Because when people land on your page, it has, like, Instagram just has this magical way of curating your presence, and it has the power to immediately open new doors and connections or close them just as fast, depending on what people land on, right? Like if you want to network with people and you want to hang out with like-minded individuals, or you want to surround yourself with people who are slightly ahead of you and you want to learn from, you got to make sure that you're showing your best self as well, right? Or even when it comes to dating, if you're sliding in the DMs, if you're exchanging socials, even in a public setting, you got to give something nice for the ladies to land on, right? And especially for business, when people land on your page, can they trust you? Can they understand your business off the bat? Can they get your vibe, right? These things matter. It's marketing. Okay, so that's the importance of your Instagram. It just has this way of showing your presence, right? So first things first, we're going to talk about let's see here, the do's and the don'ts. All right. It doesn't matter, again, if you are using your Instagram account for business or personal use, these concepts still apply. So first of all, don't have a confusing name and username. Avoid the busy stuff, right? Long names that don't make sense. You don't want you don't want a username that looks like a gamer tag or a Steam user, or just something like really like that gives you like a headache. Like I don't like looking at stuff like this, guys, right? Avoid the emojis and like the weird fonts on your name as well. Like I always see this, like people will put their name, they won't even put their last name, they'll put their name and then a bunch of weird emojis and stuff, and just looks really off, guys. It looks tacky. Also, don't flood your bio with a bunch of random stuff, with junk. Like this, for example. Like, leave the emojis out as much as possible. If you're going to use emojis, keep it minimal. Keep it easy on the eye. Keep it aesthetic. Remove the hashtags and just, yeah, all this nonsense, right? Another thing, when it comes to creating your bio, what I notice is that people will put so many affiliations. They'll put the alumni this, grad, like the school that they're from, their, discount code, fucking their link tree. Now they have their Snapchat, their Spotify, their fucking just a bunch of stuff that's going on. Like, it looks overly busy. Keep it minimal, your biography, and we'll touch more based on what to do. But for now, just get that fluff out of the way. Like, don't make your bio overly busy, and this certainly is not a nice look. Also, if you are in business, don't have your account in private. I get questions all the time. I get DMs all the time. Josh, let me edit your YouTube videos. Josh, let me make you some thumbnails. Josh, let me be your appointment setter, right? All this stuff, and their profiles look like this. You don't have a clear bio picture, so I can't even see your name. You don't even have your full name here, and then you're private. It's just like everything's all over the place. I can't trust you, right? So if I can't even trust you in business, what makes you think you can do anything else, even in a social manner, right? Like imagine you have an account like this, and you're trying to exchange socials with a lady. It's not gonna work. Like sorry, like that's that's the day and age we live in. I don't make the rules, but the stuff is not gonna fly. Same goes for this. Even if your account were public, even if you were to have a clear profile picture and your name was just as clear, if your feed is like fucking all over the place and you just have random stuff, you got stuff from 2009, from 2012, and just really random stuff. I don't even understand what this is. Got a Modelo here, a gym picture here, fucking I don't know what I'm looking at, right? This is not gonna fly. People won't want to engage with your account. People don't want to take the time out of their day to follow you back or see what you're up to, get to know you. Like, unfortunately, that's just what it is. So avoid stuff like this, okay? Other don'ts, incongruent values. I see this stuff all the freaking time, guys. All right? I'll see some people put a bunch of motivational quotes, very inspiring stuff, even Bible verses I'll see. And then when I scroll down to their feed, it's them doing degenerate stuff. It's them at rave parties. It's them at college parties, doing drugs, partying. Like, if that's what you want to do, all right, no problem. But don't have that incongruency. It's just not a good look. Actually, in fact, posting you at parties and doing drugs and all that sort of stuff, get rid of that too. I wouldn't even recommend you do that. That's just not a good way of that's not a good side to show yourself, right? Overuse of hashtags and emojis. Stay away from this stuff, guys. It just looks fucking tacky, right? Keep it simple. Keep everything easy on the eyes. The game of Instagram is keeping everything easy on the eyes, because everybody looks at a bunch of different shit. There's so much stuff coming people's way. You don't want to be a headache when you land on their feed. Okay? So stop with the overuse of hashtags and fucking emojis. You're not 14. You're not in middle school. All right? Avoid highly saturated and overly filtered photos. This also annoys me, guys. Stop with the overly edited photos. Leave that in 2012, right? Like, don't use the default filters on iPhone or whatever phone that you're using. It's just tacky, okay? And then when it comes to follower and following ratio, I don't make the rules, guys, but you guys know what it is. It's that social media psychology. Have more followers than you're following. And I had to think really long and hard about this as to why that's society's rules today. And after giving it some thought, it just comes down to, are you a producer or are you a consumer? If you are a consumer, you're going to be following more people than people who follow you, because you're just in this consumption side. You just want to see what other people are up to. You don't really provide much value. Sorry. You want to be team producer, because when you're team producer and you have people following you, they're following you for a reason. You provide a certain kind of value. You probably inspire people. You probably make people think. You probably have a service that you could render that people need. Be team producer. Be a contributing member to society. It's the way I see it. It's the only way I could justify this follower to following ratio, and it's just not really a good look. It doesn't have to be a 2-to-1. That's just like an example, right? But just have more followers than people that you're following. And we'll also go into the importance of who you follow later in the slides. And then also avoid hiding your like count and engagement stats. I just think it's, personally, I don't like the way it looks. Like, I'll leave my like count open on Instagram, even if I have some posts that don't necessarily perform well. I just think that it builds authenticity, and I think it builds credibility in the long term. Like, I see here in Miami all the time, I see 10K plus followers, accounts with 10K plus followers, but when you look at their posts, the likes are hidden. Why? I don't know. There's something about it that I don't like. It makes me feel like they've either bought their followers, or they're just like clout chasers and they just want the big number just for the big number, right? So as much as possible, try not to hide your like count and your stats. I'm an open book. Everything that I have is on there. Even posts that don't even have that haven't even cracked 100 likes, it's open. I don't hide anything. Now the do's, all right? Cool. Here we are, the do's. Have a clear name and clear username. So my username, the moment you hit my profile, it's easy to read. It's Josh Valerin. Simple as that, clear and concise, right? So create a username that's aesthetic. Again, it is all marketing on Instagram. I'd say if you don't know what to do, keep it simple. Use your first and your last name as much as possible. If it's already taken, I would say use like the period, like my boy Trey here. Like, I think that's way more aesthetic than the underscores, because the underscores, it just makes your account look like a gamer tag, bro, and you don't want that. It just looks tacky. So name, username must be clear. Also have a clear shot of your profile picture. Your face, I would really recommend that you have an up close shot so people can visibly see who you are. It just immediately builds that credibility the moment they land on your page, right? And then have a clear and concise bio description. All right, so there's a couple ways you can go about this, right? So my boy Trey here is a pretty good example. So he has his quote. He always says this: "God got me," right? And then he has his business affiliations. So these are his brands that he owns. So you could do it this way. This is nice and simple, very aesthetic. He's one of the few people who can get away with having a certain font to his name and adding the Arabic, I believe. So just be cognizant on how you do this if you choose to go this route. Or you can do one sentence, maybe a quote that you like to live by, a sentence that can get people to understand you a little bit more, or your mission statement. It's kind of how I chose to go about it. Or if I were to remove this, I would just give my location, Miami, Florida. Just keep it simple. Try to avoid emojis as much as possible. I just think emojis are really tacky. And like I said, Trey's one of the few people who could get away with things. He's just a master at marketing. He's actually someone that I learned from growing up when we were in high school. So go ahead, check out his stuff if you guys want to. His store. He has a clothing line, Righteous, and then he has Righteous Kicks. I learn a lot from his marketing. It's pretty spot on. So you guys can check that out if you want some inspo as well. All right. And then have a clean and organized feed as much as possible. Not every post has to be the same, guys. Like, you don't have to do a rinse and repeat of everything. Have some diversity, but the atmosphere and the vibe that you give off, that has to be consistent, has to be clean, right? Just, you don't want your feed to look all over the place. Just have it organized as much as possible, which I'll show you how to do later in the slides. Other do's, right? Create posts that showcase your lifestyle, your interests, your values and passions. So like, let's just say right now you're doing some deep work, you're at the cafe, you're somewhere nice. Get a POV shot in. Take a POV shot. You could post it on your story. You could save it later if you want to do a carousel, right? Or bring a tripod and have a pic, like set the tripod up to have pictures taken of you at the cafe, right? You get my point. Showcase what you're doing. Show people what you're up to, how you live, right? Where you go, who you spend time with. If you're at a nice restaurant with some homies, take pictures of that. If you're on a night out with a lady, get pictures of that too. Create captions that get people to understand you, or have a call to action. So I always like posting captions that give a little bit of motivation or inspiration to people that follow me. I try not to create captions just to sound cool. Like, to me, that just sounds a little bit like clout chasey ish. So I really like captions that have call to actions, or create or speak your mind, right? Use use the create a caption that will get people to understand you a little bit more, what how your mindset is. I like stuff like that as well. Gives you a little bit more originality as well. Try not to copy and paste quotes that you see on Instagram Explorer, because everybody's going to do it. Try to have some originality. All right. And then my preference, little to no color grade, gives you a more natural feel. Like I said before, guys, avoid like the highly saturated stuff. Like, you don't want to go overboard with the professional look. You don't want your feed to look like a bunch of stock photos, but you don't necessarily want your account to look too tacky either. You kind of want to find the in between, and I think that little to no color grade gives that more natural aesthetic, and I think it's more pleasant to the eye. And then now when it comes to, because remember I told you guys earlier we're going to talk about who you should follow. Only follow people that you truly know and like, or find inspiration, or people you could really learn from. What I realize is that who you follow, to a degree, is it's a reflection of your brand values. So be really cognizant of who you follow. And one example that I could give you is that if I tell you that I'm a coach and consultant and I'm in the men's self-development space, if I was following a bunch of OnlyFans chicks and a bunch of meme accounts and just a bunch of fluff, would you trust me to be your coach and consultant? No, right? And another example that I could give you is, if you go to Rolex's account and you look at who they follow, all of the people that Rolex follows are in alignment to their brand values. So to a degree, you kind of have to be on point with this as well, especially if you are a business account. You got to make sure that you're cognizant and particular about your affiliations. All right? More for the personal brand side of things. If you're using your account for personal, you could probably get away with a little bit more. But yeah, that's it for as far as who to follow. All right. How to take photos and edit them. Personally, guys, I think iPhone is the best way to go. I'm not really a fan of Samsung or anything else. I just think that if it's not iPhone, anything else just has, like, I don't know, their saturation is just through the roof. I'm not a fan of saturation. I don't know why, but that's just me. Specifically, what kind of iPhone? I like the Pro models, bro. Like, you can have the latest iPhone, and I get it. People get like the latest. So I think like right now, the latest is the 16, and a lot of people will go to the 16 just because it's the latest, and it's a bit more affordable. But I would always recommend Pro. Like, just that one more leg up is so worth the investment. Like, it's just a night and day difference in my opinion, going from a regular iPhone to a Pro model. Especially if you're in content creation, you absolutely need the Pro model. You can't go anything less, right? Take photos in areas of natural lighting. I always prefer natural lighting, right? Backgrounds that are easy on the eye. You don't want to have so much going on. Like, the way I approach, like, my life philosophy, guys, it even applies in content creation and personal branding. Less is more. The less you have in the background, the less you have going on, the easier it is to focus on the main subject. Main subject being you, where you're at, your POV shot, aesthetic scenery, right? Make it easy for people to see. And then when it comes to editing photos, I personally like Adobe Lightroom. I think Adobe Lightroom is the best way to go when it comes to editing your photos, and they have really cool presets. And when it comes to presets, I like being in the color tab, and my usual go-to is high contrast or natural, and you can always adjust the intensity of that preset, which is really nice. So keep things to a minimal, in my opinion. I think the less color grade you have per post, the easier it is to diversify. Because if you're so specific on one type of color grade, it's going to be harder for you to make a shift when you want to do something new. That makes any kind of sense? All right. And then more tips. Go to scenic places with your friends. Do a photo shoot. Um, I always find it fun when I have friends that I go with, you know, help lift each other up, because I know that taking photos in public can be a little weird and awkward at times. So definitely helps if you got some friends around, just give each other a little lift, And also, if you are tight on time, batch your content. So back then, when I used to work the traditional like 9 to 5 and my weekdays were filled out, I would use the weekends to batch my content. And this concept applies not only for personal branding on Instagram, it applies for YouTube as well, right? Just take that entire day and dedicate it to making a bunch of content. So in terms of Instagram, what I would do was, like, let's just say it's an outfit day. I'll grab a duffel bag with me, put in like a few outfits, a couple different shoes, and take that with me, little tripod, and I'll spend the entire day taking photos of me in different outfits in different places and in different times of the day. So I'll have some like morning shots, I'll have some daytime shots, and some evening shots. Gives me some versatility, right? And now I have a bunch of content that I could use for the month or next couple of weeks, right? However you want to do it. And I also would recommend investing into a tripod if you don't have someone that can help you out. I think tripods are a game changer. And yeah, unfortunately, boys, if you don't have anyone and you have to do this stuff alone, tripod is going to be your best bet. I know it's fucking awkward to set up a tripod in public. Set the timer, run to your spot, and then have to fucking stay still for 10 seconds. I know it gets weird, but you got to do what you got to do if you're going to build out your personal brand, right? And then last thing, you got to overshoot. I always like to have more content than I need, because you never know when you're going to use that piece of content. You might use it at a later point in time. You might just want that versatility, have different angles. You could multi-purpose your content, right? Like, I have some frames that I've shot that are on my Instagram feed, but I've also used them as thumbnails. I've used them as banners on my Notions. Like, you can use them for so many different things. So always overshoot. It's better than not having enough content. And then when it comes to building an aesthetic and versatile feed, if you're an absolute beginner and you have no idea where to start, create a mood board, guys. Like, go on Pinterest and just start saving a bunch of photos that you like, right? And then you'll eventually have enough photos. It'll be like a mood board, right? Or you could even go on Instagram Explore and you can just save a bunch of photos that you like to a certain album. And eventually you have so much photos, it becomes like this little vision board, mood board, whatever you want to call it, right? And you have that as reference. And then once you have your own unique once you have your own mood board, you use your current surroundings and your uniqueness to recreate that mood board. So that way it's not a copy and paste. It's got some originality to it, and it really screams who you are as a person, right? And it's very important to keep that aesthetic authentic. What I notice about all of these guys on social who are in the men's self-development space, all of them do the whole cigar thing, sunglasses, be on yachts, like, or whatever. Like, guys, I don't give a fuck about being on a boat, right? I do like cigars, so I have some pictures of me smoking a cigar on my feed, but I don't care about boats. I don't normally wear sunglasses, right? Everybody's doing it just because Andrew Tate's doing it. Like, keep it authentic. Like, only do things and only show things on your feed that are authentic to you. You don't want to do things just because everybody else is doing it. That's how you get washed out, bro, in this game. That's how you get overlooked. When you're just trying to be like everybody else, don't do it. You may probably get more engagement in the moment, but it's kind of like short-term gain is long-term pain. You don't want that. So keep it authentic, really stick to your values and what you really would like to showcase, right? And then when it does come to showcasing, showcase different aspects of your life and your persona. So on my Instagram, for the most part, it's mostly like class, menswear, kind of upscale premium kind of aesthetic. So like you'll have shots of me like this, right, in a nice suit, in swanky places, right? So you'll have that side of me, the more gentleman kind of look, and then you'll also have different aspects that of me that are more athletic, right? Like you'll have shots of me getting some workouts in at the gym. You'll also see the cozier side of me when I'm just in, some sweats and a crew neck, some sneakers. So show different aspects of your life, of your persona. Keep that versatility alive. It makes people want to engage with you more. And I feel like when you do show different aspects of your persona, you have more leeway in the type of content you can make. So yeah, versatility is key. Moving on. All right. So if you want to stand out, if you want to stand out with your audience and the first-time visitors on your profile, you want them to understand your vibe, your personality, and your unique value that sets you apart from others. And to do that, you kind of have to do a little bit of branding. So when people land on my Instagram, immediately you get a premium and upscale feel, right? And that is not done by accident. That is done by branding and engagement. And I'll break it down into four main pillars, at least the four main pillars that are most important to me. And this is actually the last slide of this presentation as well. So when it comes to your branding, I'd say, first of all, the most important thing is your authenticity. Like I said, do not try to pretend to be someone that you're not. Do not do things just for a high like count, high following count. Do not optimize for numbers, right? You really want to stay true to who you are. You don't want a lot of people to follow you necessarily. I mean, of course, it's nice to have a bunch of people follow you, but what's more important is you want the right people to follow you. Because even if you have a smaller following like I do, I only have like 1,200 followers, but my engagement is through the roof. I always get engagement with my stuff, and that's because I'm authentic and I stay true to who I am. Like I don't give a fuck about these Miami boats and yachts and going to all these clubs and whatever, right? I'm not trying to be out here and just hang out with big names just to hang out with big names. Like I do what I want to do, right? So make sure that what you showcase on your feed, part of your branding, your values, really be authentic to who you are. All right. Second, the value that you give off, right? That fourth pillar down there, value. I would say that's the next most important thing. What value do you give to your audience? That's very important as well. This is more for the personal brand business side of things. If you have a personal account, it doesn't really apply much, but it's still nice if you can be a valuable member to society in your own way, right? So what is it that you have to offer? Do you inspire people? Do you motivate people? What's your value? Like don't build out an Instagram just so you can have a high following count, high like count just for the sake of it. Like you don't want to play the popularity game. Like fuck that, bro. Be valuable because you actually have some insightful things to say, or you have some service that you could render that could actually help people or people want, right? Don't do this shit just for clout. I don't care about that. That's why my engagement's amazing for how small of an account I am on both Instagram and YouTube. It's all about being of value and really helping people out, inspiring people, making people take action, right? Engagement. You are not too cool. No one is ever too cool to not reply, right? I get it if you have a really big account and you can't reply to all of your engagement. That's a completely different thing. But as much as possible, try to engage with your audience, guys. No one is ever too cool to not reply. Like if people are going out of their way to like your stuff, comment, and tell you how fire your stuff is, or they love what you're doing. Take the time to say thank you. Take the time to appreciate that they're fucking with you, bro. Like, don't disrespect that. Engage with your people, right? Build that community. And then the visual appeal and the consistency, that goes back to just like building out your aesthetic. Just make sure that you're consistent. Like, you could break away from what you typically post, but as much as possible, make sure that you're doing it in an aesthetic way. And that goes back to just using Pinterest as a reference, or going on Instagram Explore and finding accounts that you like, right? And taking aspects of those and creating it in your own way that is authentic to you. All right. So that basically summarizes personal branding, guys. Also, just wanted to say, now that I remember, when it comes to engagement, like other people's stuff, bro. Engage with other people. At least with the people that you do follow. Really, take some time. As long as it's I guess you could say insightful or inspiring, or something like that. Be engaging as much as possible. It's not all about you, right? So keep the engagement alive. Be authentic as much as possible. Don't play the fucking popularity game. I see this shit too many times. People just they wanna look cool, or just scream entrepreneur. Like, fuck that, bro. You're so much better off, you know, engaging with, being genuine with people, being true to who you are. You'll find your crowd that way, and just focus on being of value, and pretty much everything else will solve itself. So that's it for my personal branding guide, guys. Hopefully you took away something from it. Let me know if I missed any key points. If there's anything I could do better, let me know. If you guys want to see more technical stuff like this, because I save all of this technical stuff, all of this Loom education. This is more for my one-to-one coaching clients. So if you do want to work one-to-one with me, if you're still having a hard time just building out your aesthetic, or even your personal image, your communication, just your current lifestyle, it's not exactly up to the caliber you want it to be, I have my links in the description below. So if you are interested in that, you could go ahead and click there. And yeah, guys, that's it from me. Hope you guys have a good one. And I'll either see you on the next Loom, or I'll see you guys on the next vlog. Peace.